Transfer learning in machine learning focuses on storing knowledge gained while solving one problem and applying it to a different but related problem. Now, take that you have a classifier that can detect lemons. Now, this knowledge can be transferred to detect oranges or sweet lime with some minimal fine tuning rather training a complete classifier from scratch. It is also a way when you have only limited samples of each class. Say you don't have a lot of label data. Transfer learning comes in very handy. If you have a lot of data, then it's better to train a classifier from scratch, or even in the for even transfer learning, you can fine tune an existing model top layers, which I will talk about it later. One caveat is transfer learning only works if the initial and target problem of both models are similar enough. Take an example, right? You have an animal classifier, and you want to take that animal classifier and maybe run it to a classifier that detects electronic circuitry. These two problems are way apart, and it may not work. But at the same time, if you take the animal classifier and use it to detect the breed of the animal, maybe it will work close together and it may give you good results as well. So the problem that you are dealing with has to be very similar in transfer learning. So now let's get started with the code part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rock paper scissors data set and do a transfer learning of that rock paper scissors data set and see how it performs. Now we don't have a lot of samples. We have decent enough samples, I would say, but still, let's see how the classifier performs. Now, to get started, what I'm doing is I'm importing matplotlib. I'm importing TensorFlow. I'm going to build an classifier using TensorFlow, and I'm using TensorFlow Hub. The TensorFlow Hub as a pre-trained model repository. I'm going to use a pre-trained model from TensorFlow Hub. So you have all the architectures over there: ResNet, MobileNet, Inception. I'm going to use MobileNet in this case. I'm importing also TensorFlow datasets. The TensorFlow dataset has a library for the log rock paper scissors dataset, and that's what I'm going to use over here. So I have already run this. We are having the TensorFlow 2.2.0 version, and then what I am doing is I am loading the data set. So I am using TensorFlow dataset that we imported. I am calling the load method. I am passing the rock paper scissors data set, and then I have a train and test split over there, and I am assigning to data set and info. Right, the info will give me like what the data set contains about. So if you see the info over here, you can basically see the training as 2520 images and the test as 372 images. This is not like very big if you have to configure and if you have to train a model from scratch, but maybe it may work for a very small architecture classifier. But in this case, we will use transfer learning to solve the problem. And the image is of shape 300 by 300 by 3 over here. There are three classes, that is rock, paper, and scissors. Right now, first thing what I'm doing is before getting into the data set, if you want to visualize the data set, right, the TensorFlow data set has a method called show example. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm again loading the data, but only one split. It will work only with one split. You either use train or test. If you give both train and test, it may not work. So, and then I'm calling the show example method. So when I run the show example, basically you can see the sample images. You can see basically these are rock, this is paper, this is scissor, and it just shows you some sample images that you can quickly take a look before proceeding with the classifier. Now the very first thing I'm going to do is, if you see on the top, I have assigned the output to and variable called data sets over here, and this data set will be having kind of an array of values that will be train and test. Right. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take it. I'm going to build one single data set, train and split test, and then I'm going to split it by myself. Now you can directly use train and test separately, but in this case, I'm just going to combine the data set, and I'm going to build split for train, validation, and test. The train and validation will be using during the transfer learning process, and test will be independently kept to evaluate the model. Right. So in this case, what I'm doing, I'm the data set of 0, which is the train, and data set of 1, I'm concatenating it, and I'm assigning to a data set variable, and then I'm doing a quick shuffle so that the basically the data that is coming out train and test, there's no order, it gets shuffled within it itself, and I'm again assigning to data set. I'm taking this, I am splitting this particular data set into validation, test, and train. So the very first thing I'm doing is I'm taking the first 600 records and then assigning it to a validation data frame. I'm taking the I'm skipping the 600 records, and then I am assigning it to a temp test variable. Right. So basically the idea over here is, if I have 2000 images, right, I am taking the first 600 images and then assigning it to a validation frame. Then I am taking the remaining 1400 images out of 2000, and then again I am splitting it. I am assigning 400 to test and keeping the remaining in train. So basically out of 1400, 400 will get assigned to test, and remaining 1000 will get assigned to the training data frame. But I think we have more than 2000 images, so you will have more than 1000 for train. The data sets, I have not run the data set, just give me a minute. Yeah, so the data set, I have not run it, so this is the data set. And then if I run it, you can let me quickly print the length of the train data set. So now we have three splits: the validation split of 600, the test split of 400, and remaining like 1892 is part of the train data set. Right now, the very first thing I want to do is I want to scale the images, and what I'm doing is I'm taking the input image and then I am dividing it by 255 so that my output image pixels are between 0 to 1. Right, and this is a three channel image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the mobile net architecture. So mobile net basically is a family of neural network architecture for efficient on device image classification and related tasks. So it can be used on your mobile device. It is pretty lightweight. Now, MobileNet, the input data that you pass to MobileNet is of like predefined shape, that is 224 by 224. But my input image, if you saw in the top, it was 300 by 300. So I am resizing it to 224 by 224 so that it fits in my ImageNet model. And the target now, it has three values, right? It has rock, paper, scissors. So I'm doing a one-hot encoding of the target variable, and the scale method will do both and return the values. I'm also creating a get dataset method where I am passing a batch size on how it wants, and I am basically taking the train, test, and validation. I am calling the scale function because I want to scale all the three data set with values each pixel by 0 to 1 boundary. So I am calling the scale method, and then I am basically passing the batch size. So what will happen if I have like 200 images? Each image will be each set of enumeration will have that batch size of records. So the first enumeration, when I iterate over there, will have 64 images. The second will have another 64 images. If I pass a higher batch size, it will have like higher set of values. So that's what I'm doing over here. I'm taking it, calling the scale function, and I am assigning a batch size to each images. Right. Then I'm calling this get dataset method. So I have the train, test, and validation as output over here, and then I am caching the train and validation dataset that can be passed on to the that can be passed on to my model. Right now, next I'm doing is I'm going to TF-Hub. As I said, TF-Hub is a repository of all the pre-trained images. We can just directly take it from TF-Hub and then run it within TensorFlow. I'm taking the future, basically in the MobileNet data set, I'm taking the version 4, which is the latest version of it, and it will finally give me a feature vector, which I can further fine tune it, or basically like just use the last layer, and then just attach a last layer to it and then train it for my particular problem. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the feature vector as it is. I'm going to make the trainable to false, and then I'm going to attach a final classification egg to it, and then train by particular images. Right. So let me get the data from TensorFlow Hub, and then what I'm doing is I am basically over here just getting the feature extractor, like that up.keras layer. I'm passing the feature extractor, which is nothing but the TensorFlow Hub, and then the input shape is 224 by 224, and it is three channels. And I'm creating a feature extractor layer over here. And then next I'm telling that trainable is false. So basically I don't want to train the upper layer. That's what I'm telling. In some cases, when your problem is slightly different than your underlying pre-trainable model that it was defined on, maybe you want to train little upper layers of it. Right. So neural network work as a pretty good feature extractor. So the initial few layers and it tries to understand the high level features of the image, like the edges and everything. So basically you can just go upper and start training the other layers if your model is pretty different, if your data is pretty different than what it was trained on. but here I'm just going to attach the classification. And so now I got the feature extractor. I'm going to define my model. In the model, what I'm telling is I'm creating a sequential model. I have the feature extractor layer, which is nothing but the mobile net. And then I have just defined a dropout. Whatever comes in, basically mobile net is a pretty, even though it's a lightweight architecture, the architecture is still large enough for my rock papers as a data set. So I want to just blindly drop out so that it does not overfit. And then I'm attaching an final dense layer, which is my number of classes, and I'm telling my activation is softmax, and I'm printing the summary over here. Now if you see in the summary, you have the keras layer, you have the which is nothing but the mobile net, you have the dropout layer, and you have the dense layer. Now the mobile net architecture comes in various sizes, that is controlled by a multiplier for the depth, that is a number of features. The module that we have taken basically has 1000 to 280 feature vector that you are seeing it over here, right? And it requires the input class to be normalized, the input image data to be normalized, that is between 0 to 1. We have already done the scaling, and the input image is basically capped to 224 by 224 pixels, which are already resized the image, right? Now this is that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to perform my typical whatever I do for the classifier. I'm just going to compile the model with Adam optimization. I'm giving a categorical cross entropy, and then I'm putting my metrics as accuracy. I am creating a class object, which is nothing but a TensorFlow callback function, which I can give during my model training. And here I'm telling like whatever like batch losses, the append the loss, and then append the accuracy of that particular model, right? So this I'm going to pass during my training. Now the train data set and the test data set are all like TensorFlow data set format. And if you see the input image is 224 by 224.3, we have resized it, and the output is a one not encoded vector, that is none of three. Alright. So now next what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically call my callback function, which is the top class I defined. And then what I'm telling is I'm calling the model.fit generator. I am passing the training data set, and then I'm passing the validation data set for validating the model. I'm just going to run it for epoch, 2 epochs. That's what I'm going to do. You can try it for more epochs or lesser epochs, but with 2 epochs, we'll get a pretty good model. And then I'm just calling the callback function. So this should be done pretty quickly. Now, in this case, if you see, we really did not define any models at all, right? We just took an existing we did not define like model architecture. We just took a pre-existing model. We just made it trainable false. We just attached our classification at. Now I'm going to pass my rock paper dataset to it. That is my train dataset. My validation dataset will be validating it against every epoch. And then finally, I'm just going to see how my model is performing. So if you see over here, first epoch is completed. The accuracy is 0.83 and the validation accuracy is pretty high. Now the loss is high. The reason is we are using categorical cost entropy, and in categorical cost entropy, the loss is not bounded. So basically, even one wrong prediction basically can make your loss blow out, right? So that's why you're seeing higher loss, but still our accuracy is good. Now the model training is complete, and you're seeing the accuracy is 97%, and the validation accuracy is also is close enough, right? Let us quickly print the loss and accuracy chart, and you are seeing the loss did not come down substantially on the top. But as I said, like we are using categorical cost entropy. So basically, even a small outlier misclassification can basically blow up the loss value. And then the accuracy is almost like 97, 98%, right? Now let me evaluate the data with the test data set. Now I have trained my classifier. I have given my train data and validation data, but I want to evaluate my classifier with an unseen data set to make sure my data is not overfitting, right? So let me run it. I'm just passing the test data set, and then I am evaluating it. Let's just wait, it will done fast. So you can see basically here the accuracy is still 98%. So that means we have a pretty good model. The model is not overfitting. Let us quickly visualize the output. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm running to the test data set. I'm just taking the first 10 images. I am basically calling the model.predict, and I am scaling the image, whatever is required, the pre-processing, and then I'm printing the actual label and predicted label. So this should be done in some time. So this will show the images and what is the actual label, what is the classification that we have done. So if you see the output over here, the scissor is updated, there's a scissors image, and you have predicted an actual matching. right? You have paper which is matching, you have another paper which is matching, most are paper, yeah, scissors which are matching. So basically our classifier has done a pretty good job over here. What I can do is in the model predict method I can it's going to give, like, basically it's a one not encoded output, so it will give the probability class. I have to pick the argmax, right? I have to pick the maximum, a maximum prediction, that will be my target class. So I'm just going to print all my target class over here in the model.predict. In the next one I'm going to create a confusion matrix using that. So I'm just showing you now, when I do an argmax, this is the classes, predicted classes. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the basically the test object. I am running it for all the batch. I have 400 test images. If you see on the top, I am running it for whole 400 batch. I am having my output y, right, which is nothing but the data coming input, and y predicted, which is nothing but I'm predicting using the model that I have developed, and I'm creating a confusion matrix over here. So when I run this, you can basically see if there is any misclassification. So we'll quickly find out like what classes have got misclassified, right? Now, if you see the diagonal bar, that shows the correct predictions. So for rock and paper and scissors, I have pretty good. There have been some misclassification for rock. There have been some misclassification for scissors, and basically sorry, for paper and scissors, it's almost perfect, right? So that is the output. What I can do is I can save the model. I can just do a model.save so that I can export it and run away anywhere. So this will get saved in the models folder, and I can print the output. Basically, uh, just quickly see, you can see basically the models is their output, right? And I can see the size of the model, so how big it is, because it's mobile net, it's a lightweight. You can basically see it's hardly around 2 MB, right? You can use TF light or quantization on top of it and make it even lighter. You can check my video, you can click the link on the top on quantization. I have videos for both quantization, AVA training, and post model quantization. You can use any of it, and then you can compress the model. Right now, I am what I am doing is, I am just to make sure that my model is saved properly, I am using the Keras load model method, and then I am again printing the predictions. So I'm just taking the data again, I'm taking loaded by model and using the loaded model over here rather than the model parameter to predict the values. So this should be, yeah, you can see the output basically over here, rock, paper, scissors. It's printing as expected. So that's about it. I quickly want to show transfer learning over here, and maybe in the next video I will take a complex image which is slightly different from the pre-trained model classifier, and then go upper layer, and then try to fine tune the model, maybe make those upper layers trainable, and create new weights based on the incoming data set. So that's all about it. Thank you very much.